Let's podcast live. It's Sleek OG Live. Thanks to sleek-fleet.com for sponsoring our foray into live podcasting for real, every Thursday, 2 o'clock from now until, I don't know, we're sponsoring our foray into
Hold on a second.
You know what? I'm an idiot. I was doing something on YouTube.
Okay.
So it went live on the actual YouTube. So I was hearing myself back.
So was I.
Amateur hour, man. Complete amateur hour.
That's why you got to do it live.
Okay, well, that's what we're doing it live. So the reason why we're doing it live is we're trying to experiment with some things with the weekly broadcast schedule. So, Joe, you've been after me. We got to do stuff live. We got to get in the comments. Maybe we can take calls, so to speak, put the link out to StreamYard to get people on again. So we're going to do that. We got plenty of things that we're getting into today from State. I don't know how they pulled that out last night against Notre Dame. We'll talk about that. Brind'Amour, head coach of the Carolina Hurricanes. We went over to practice today to talk to him. We'll bring you that conversation. And Lauren Brownlow is going to drop on by to talk some more ACC hoops. And apparently, we now know the most hated NFL team in the state of North Carolina. Might not be what you think it is, but we'll get into all those fun things. But I want to talk about Sleek Fleet a little bit more. So to help us on our inaugural live, for real, Sleek OG Live, we've got Tyler from sleek-fleet.com. I even have like a fancy little 3-box for you, Tyler, that has sleek-fleet.com on the side.
It looks amazing. You'll see it in the party bus when you watch later.
All right. I'm down. Count me in.
All right. So you guys helped us out for our OG tailgate a while back.
Correct.
And I saw
well, not exactly help us. They made it work.
You did make it work.
Tyler made it work.
We went way out of our way for that one. I'll say that, yeah, for sure.
I wasn't quite prepared for that.
Yeah, that was.
We learned a lesson that
we
day.
Did, but it was a good lesson, and everybody was happy.
Yes, there definitely was that. We should probably have geofenced this.
yeah.
But it worked out
because
Tyler made it work, and that's what we appreciate. So this is ride sharing, but it's not the ride sharing that most people will think. So what is Sleek Fleet about?
So Sleek Fleet, we're a little different. We came to the Triangle. We were wanting to, not just be like a massive pie. We wanted to come together, help people, solve problems. All the, you call a business, they're busy. We're there no matter what. We've got you covered any time of the day, any time of the night, any location in North Carolina. That's what we're here for. And we've heavily invested, and we like we have anywhere from Tahoes to buses, and we can get you from point A to point B with zero hassle.
Let's talk about that party bus.
Sure.
That's how many people can you fit in that thing?
13.
Okay.
Yeah.
And this is for, I don't know, bachelorette parties. You're going to some, you're going to some sporting event.
Hurricanes, Panthers, anything you can imagine we've done.
Mm-hmm.
Airports, people fly into a golf course. I mean, Pinehurst, anywhere you can imagine. We've definitely been. And it's
I don't want to pigeonhole you as the arena stadium guy, but you do make it really easy to get over to the arena and to the stadium for NC State football. I used you twice this year for NC State. Like, how to get by the guys.
I've worked really
you
good.
don't got to sit in that traffic like other people do.
Right. So I've worked really hard to get, friendly with the parking staff there.
Yeah.
So, we typically can get you right to the front door without any hassle. And then we can get there 30 minutes in advance of the end of the game. So if you want to leave early or something may have happened, we're there. And we're sitting right there, right out the door. You can walk out and we'll get you in and out within a couple minutes.
And the best way to get you is?
At www.sleek-fleet.com.
Or you can call 919-335-8840.
Absolutely.
That's already in my phone. So
you haven't with the Carolina Hurricanes, you shouldn't be leaving early. They've been providing as of late.
They have come back and shown that it's worth staying.
Yes.
And I agree 100% with you. And even if you want to stay and see the stars, we're there waiting for you as well.
Perfect.
We're outside no matter what.
Tyler, you're like an OG Canes fan, though.
I am. I've been
For
there
a good
since
reason.
day one. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Absolutely.
It's story time, Tyler.
Okay.
Because you got to remember, with Carolina, I've been doing this long enough to know the Carolina Hurricane fans love to flex how long they've been Carolina Hurricanes fans.
a season ticket holder in Greensboro.
Because
you got me beat on the Whalers.
But the funny thing is,
I'll give them that.
Well, the funny thing is, there are people, like the way people talk about the Greensboro days,
right?
The amount of people who say They've been
it's not possible.
I was in the Greensboro days. I'm like, then why did it look like that if all these people say it?
Right.
But
we would have kept it there for if that was the case.
But you got a cool story when the Canes were actually coming this way.
Yeah. So at the time, my stepfather was in the House of Representatives, and in that time, you were allowed to go to maybe say some private events.
Yeah.
And the Hurricanes were getting an initiation right here on Fayetteville Street as a true NHL franchise.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not sure if everybody was watching TV that day or has seen it, but true OG Hurricane fans remember when Jim Hunt hit the puck in the goal, just as solid as he could. It went dead center, by the way. And I was a little kid. Yeah, he practiced, I'm sure.
Come on now.
And I was a little kid, just a little 10-year-old boy standing there, and he said, "Come up." And I got the stick and the official signatures of everyone that was there since day one. And ever since then, I've been addicted to the Hurricanes.
I love that.
Yes.
I love that.
And even through the thick and thin, I'm not going anywhere.
Yeah.
So-
Obviously, if you're still here, because those teams were not to be trifled with.
No, but when
Especially
you're a
the
true
first 7
fan,
years of it.
you got to go up and down.
Yes. You going to learn some Russian? Because we learned today that maybe there's a communication gap. That could help be helping.
Maybe you could help me with that.
Okay.
But we can learn it. Yes. If he needs a ride, I can learn Russian.
Well,
Yes, sir.
definitely work on that part of
we
the
can
game.
work on it. Yes,
Sleek-fleet.com. Tyler and his crew do the best job there is. Just like our pizza, just like our wings, we don't steer you the wrong way. Sleek-fleet.com. Tyler, we appreciate you stopping. First of all, supporting
Yes,
Sleek Fleet OG Live, and second of all, for coming in, just explaining it a little bit to people.
Yep. Every Thursday, I'm gonna step in and then try new things, and I'm very excited to be partnered with the OG.
Awesome,
and
man.
anytime anybody needs anything, we can get you from point A to point B with satisfaction.
Tyler, appreciate it, dude. We truly do, because
Very well.
otherwise we can't keep doing this
Right.
without people like you. So if the podcast listeners, people watching on YouTube, if you want us to keep doing this, please support our sponsors. Next time you're thinking about going to the airport, maybe next time you're thinking about going to a game with a large group of people, think about sleek-fleet.com. Tyler, appreciate it, man.
Yeah, man. And I'm here for you guys. Just we're one call away.
Okay, so you know what? I'm actually screwing up all these things. So let's see here. All right, now we're back. All right, we're back here on.
We're backwards.
I'll fix this. Hold on a second. Well, I had to fix it. Tyler,
Oh, there we go.
do we want to make sure Tyler gets out? I'll vamp here for a second while
Vamp.
we do. I'm going to vamp for a second while Tyler gets out here, because we're figuring things out live. So of course, welcome to the podcast, brought to you by Copiers Plus. Check them out online, copiers-plus.com. Again, that's copiers-plus.com. They're the presenting sponsor here for Ovies and Giglio. And of course, Thursdays, it's going to be brought to you by Sleek Fleet. Again, check them out online at sleek-fleet.com. Brownlow is going to hang out here for a little bit. We do have a conversation with Rob Brind'Amour we're going to get to as well. But we do start with NC State. NC State, I'm going to go over some stats before Giglio comes in, because what happened with NC State last night, where DJ Burns saves the day, I forgot the Notre Dame player he did this to, but just broke his ankles, jumped way too high. DJ took advantage of it. You'd think by now people have seen enough tape of DJ Burns to know he's going to make a move like that. But the Notre Dame defender went, "No, I'm committing. I'm going up." And DJ took absolute advantage of it. But what NC State managed to do last night, shooting 28% from the field, is pretty wild. Our friend Brian Ives over at the ACC Network put this stat up at 28.8% over Notre Dame. That's the lowest field goal percentage in a win for the Wolfpack since shooting 28.6% against Penn State back in 1996. I was 17. I don't quite remember that game. And then there's
how do you not remember all? Oh, yeah, that was Herb.
That was well, also I hadn't gotten to NC State yet. So my baptism of ACC basketball didn't quite happen yet. And then Andrew Weatherman put this together. So NC State's 28.8% shooting percentage, 19 of 66 from the field to beat Notre Dame, is the lowest field goal percentage by a winning ACC team since 2008. It's the 11th lowest in a Power 6 conference game. Remember, we count the Big East when it comes to college basketball. So you've seen some winners. I've seen some of these games like Duke, Virginia Tech, or a North Carolina Boston College game from last year around this time. You know what I don't see on this list?
The Virginia Tech, the 24-point game.
I don't see the Virginia Tech game, the 24-point game. And then, of course, the other game that came to mind yesterday, Joe, as I'm watching this all unfold, was, what was it, St. John's?
St. John's, Julius Hodges homecoming.
Black jerseys?
December 30th, 2004. They scored 10 points in the first half at St. John's. Bruh.
Why does this happen to State?
Hey, they won this one, though.
No, it's so here's the thing about the Wolfpack and their win against Notre Dame. And we kind of referenced it yesterday when talking about the importance of the game against Notre Dame. And you got to remember where Notre Dame is, too. They're in a rebuilding mode with a new coach.
Sure. I mean, they did just beat Virginia on the same floor.
Well, but you got to remember how they got around to beating Virginia. The head coach was at Shrewsbury. And they played it a bunch last night. You know, shout out to West Durham and Dan Bonner and the crew for
music to my ears when I watched this morning.
Yes, putting the production together and giving you all the context if you've missed out on things. Shrewsbury went out there and just completely called out the team, saying straight up, you know, if you paid for that, we're sorry. And if you don't want to play, you can ride and rot on the end of the bench. So that fired Notre Dame up. If there's one thing that people are looking at it with Notre Dame is that they like the coach. They're going to be tough. And you saw that bounce back against Virginia. So they came out and were doing the same thing against the Wolfpack. And the Wolfpack had one of those signature road game, can't make a shot.
9 o'clock, late.
What are you running? Are you running anything?
Be nicer.
But defense, I know, but defense is the thing that ultimately is going to get you by. And it finally started to pay off for the Wolfpack. They just needed to score more than Notre Dame at that point, and they pulled it out.
I liked how Kevin used his pieces in the second half of this game. You and I have talked all season about how hard it is to make pieces fit together in a 1-year window. And the lineup that was on the floor in the last 3 minutes did not include DJ Burns, in part because he's a defensive liability. So the lineup with Mo Diarra on the floor with Ben Middlebrooks was really good defensively. And got a little bit lucky with some of the free throw misses by Notre Dame and some of the turnovers by Notre Dame, but you make your own luck. And I feel like the last two possessions, the basket by DJ Burns to make it 52-52, and then the basket to win the game, you know, Notre Dame fell asleep a little bit at the wheel there by not doubling DJ. And if you're not going to double him in the post, that low in the post, you're going to have problems.
Yeah, this is from Jacob on YouTube. Can't believe they didn't double DJ on that play. I was terrified when I saw the inbounds go to him.
Yeah, both plays. They just didn't have the ability to get down there and double him. And I thought, and talked about this on Law of the Wolf today, that it was 48-41 with about 4 minutes left. And Jaden Taylor, NC State only made 3 threes the entire game, 3 of 17 from 3. He popped the 3 in there that I thought was the biggest play of the game, makes it 48-44. You got to have the confidence that you could still win. You got to have the confidence, even after playing that poorly and shooting that poorly, that you can find a way to steal the game. And a lot of things had to go right. You know, the turnover, the missed free throws, you know, stopping the clock, getting the situation, Kevin calling a timeout. How many times have we seen a coach say, you know what? I liked where my team was. I was just going to let this thing play out. And instead, balls down, calls timeout, sets up a play. You know, all of the criticisms that people have of Kevin Keats, you know, managing the bench and using the lineups and not just playing 5 guys. And then having the 2 set plays, really both plays, 52-52 and 54-52. To win the basketball game in the way that they did. I texted him this morning and I said to him, I said, that might have been your best thing. It's really smart coaching stuff, just great stuff.
Oh, it's funny you mentioned that because I fell asleep last night trying to watch that game because I was still.
I watched it this morning. I didn't watch it last night.
Yeah. I watched the first half. I was kind of going back with the Miami Clemson game a little bit, watching NC State, and you know the first half was terrible, but in the second half I fell asleep, so I had to go back and watch it and things like that. And as I woke up and I'm looking at the tweets, people were feeling the same thing that you said. Like, here's Jeremy on Twitter. Did you two really break the curse? Remember, we did do a curse reverse. I'm 38 and I watched the entire Notre Dame game, and I've never in my time seen us actually win a game we're supposed to win. I like this team a lot, but I'm scared to get excited about it. Tell me you've been hurt before, Jeremy.
I'm so excited.
I think you would understand my point of view. So yeah, and then we had another listener tweet at us last night in the aftermath of all of that. See if I can find it. Oh, it's from Scott. In the last 5 minutes of the game, I penned 2 tweets condemning Keats and the program. This is the worst loss ever, but I didn't hit send. I still had hope. Maybe I'm growing as a State fan.
See?
I still think we're a bubble team, but they did have heart, go DJ. And I think it was Scott's tweet that actually got me to start thinking forward. And we referenced it a little bit yesterday. I think basically it's how you said it yesterday. State lost games that they would like to have, but not necessarily bad that they lost. I think between those 3 schools that they lost to, they have a combined loss record of 3. I think all those 3 was it. You got who are the teams? BYU.
Well, it's BYU, Tennessee, and Ole Miss.
And they only have 3 losses between the 3 of them, if I'm not mistaken, right? So losing those games isn't necessarily bad, but you'd like to have one in your back pocket when you start talking about the NCAA.
BYU is the one you're going to look back at and say, we had that one, and think about that. BYU, all the points that BYU scored in that game, and then you look back at it and you look at last night and look at what Notre Dame scored in the second half of that game. So sometimes you have to win different ways.
Now it's the crucial part, something that you and I are going to continue to argue throughout the rest of the year. Don't lose games. Don't lose games. And Notre Dame is one of those Kobayashi Maru situations where it's a no-win. You lose to Notre Dame, it wrecks you. And people as evidenced by the reaction to, oh my God, you're going to lose to this Notre Dame team. If you beat Notre Dame, you will ultimately get a shoulder shrug because that's what you're supposed to do. So you're really getting into the please don't lose games you can't afford to lose and put you in the bubble. For instance, our friend John pointing out that our friend Josh is already going through the net metrics. State's ranking went down after last night.
Sure.
ND's went up. Love it. And Josh is going to be tweeting through the net rankings on a daily basis from here on out. I wish he wouldn't. He might grow hair back. I wish he wouldn't, but
he has come fully square though with you have to beat the other teams that are going to make the tournament.
Yeah,
that's what makes Saturday's game against Virginia so important. That's what makes Wednesday's game against North Carolina, because you get the feeling that North Carolina might be ready to take off on a rocket ship after beating Pitt the way that they did this week. That could be the kind of confidence boost that they needed, and this could be one of those games for State. Like if they had gone there and won kind of ho hum, so what? Yeah, but you pull this one out when you realize you really had no business winning. Those are the kind of things. Also, buying into your roles. Mo Diarra is a guy who plays in this game. Like I said, when I texted Kevin, I said Mo Diarra was the MVP of this game because he played defense, and this is somebody who has to accept what he is, right? Everybody wants to be the star, but not everybody can be the star. Some people have to play defense. Some people have to rebound. Some people have to set screens. Some people have to pass the ball. Some people have to defend. And I thought Diarra was really, really important in this game, especially in the kind of slog it out half court game that it was. And that's what it's going to be on Saturday too. It's going to be a heavy half court game, and Virginia's going to double team the heck out of DJ Burns. So they got to be ready for that. But you also got to be ready for like a Casey Marcel to have a little revenge game against his former school. DJ Horn, quiet in this game, but has been a guy who's picked up his game. And, again, all of the moving parts, that's the toughest part for all of these coaches, is how do you get them to fit together and how do you get them to buy into their roles? And just as we saw last year with Kevin Keats and the way that he was able to get that team together, this team's starting to figure some things out.
To the YouTube comment section from Thomas, it feels like basketball has taken a back seat at NC State. Also not sure Keats can get this team over the identity hump. I still think it's way too early to be having those discussions because every team is still trying to understand its identity. We spent time talking about this in regards to Duke. Now, is there a talent gap? Of course. I mean, are there expectation gaps between Duke and NC State? Yes, but they share one common thing. Everybody's still trying to find what that identity is. You like to talk about the bus driver, right? Yeah. You wore the pink quarter zip today.
I know.
No amount of lighting is going to help. I don't know why you insist. I don't know why you insist on wearing that. Thank you. That actually is going to help. You wear that pink quarter zip, and then it's like lighting just goes. So please wear dark colors when we do this. Thank you. Anyway, back to Thomas's point about identity.
I think what he's saying is the push and pull between NC State football and NC State basketball.
Oh, that's a deeper conversation.
That's what I think he's getting at here, because with Dave, we know the hands in the dirt. We know they want to be tough, We know they want to play a certain way, and we know what that identity is. I think with Kevin, when he was hired, it was, oh, we're going to press, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. And obviously that hasn't been able to kind of come to fruition. I do think in this NIL era, I think, last year and this year, you're seeing kind of Kevin do his best work, in my opinion.
Another comment from Aaron, Kobayashi Maru. Joe is such a nerd. Well, at least you got the reference, right?
There you go.
Do you get the reference?
It's some sort of Star Trek thing. I only know it because you and Holden Thorpe worked through it together live.
Yes, we did.
One time.
Yes, we did. From Davis, aggressively typing to get through it. This is the way. Yeah, I mean, if that's how you want to cope while watching basketball or any sporting event for that matter.
Yeah.
You're going to aggressively.
And it's okay to be mad. Like,
it's fine.
That's one of the things I hate about Twitter. This aged really well. Well, yes, while I'm watching this and being frustrated, that's what I was feeling.
Yeah.
So I don't really care if it aged well. I can't see the future, although I did have Miami yesterday.
From Muzak Geek, hope this will be a wake-up call for the upcoming games. And then, of course, you got Wes. We got to get through a grumpy Clemmers first, though. So I think he's referring to North Carolina and Clemson, because we can talk.
It'll be a fun game.
We can talk about this a little bit
Clemson
more.
has speaking of flipping identities. I don't know how much you watched last night.
I watched a good bit of it.
I enjoyed the way that they play basketball. I know they lost the game.
Yeah.
But they move the ball so well.
Yeah.
PJ Hall is such an X factor. And then it is jarring to see Joe Girard. I forgot who was on the call last night.
I told you when I went to the Duke Syracuse game. I'm watching the Syracuse game. I'm like, where's my old man? Where's Joe Girard? I want to talk about, creaky knees and bad backs with him. No, oh crap, that's right. He's no longer here.
Yeah.
The thing about Here's what bothered me about the Miami Clemson game last night. And I was listening to a little bit of Field of 68 this morning while I was driving around, listening to Jeff Goodman and Randolph Childress was part of the crew this morning when they did their After Dark. And the way they dismissively talk about the ACC is tiresome because Miami's a good squad. Did they get
Miami's in the freaking Final Four last year?
I get that. But because Miami got crushed by Kentucky earlier this year, there's this attitude to like, well, they were fraudulent. No, they're not fraudulent. Now, if you want to say that Miami 1 through 5 is excellent.
Yeah.
And you saw that play out last night against Clemson. Is that an indictment on Clemson, who's had a very good start to the year? No, it's just two good basketball teams. Somebody's got to lose. But because it's Clemson and Miami, two teams that you would discuss for an ACC championship game in football.
Right.
Shout out to 2017 where it was a disaster. My poor dad still doesn't want to talk about that game. If that were a football game, people talk about it differently because it's those two schools. Right. Their brains cannot process that this is good basketball from the ACC that might actually be a little bit better if you get beyond just obsessing over metrics. Switch the uniforms around.
By the way, Kentucky has the best roster in college basketball.
Yes.
Just so you know.
Yes. Well,
not you, but the person who's sitting here going,
give
me a break.
I saw Paul Barrazo, Associate Commissioner for Basketball this week, and I made a joke with him. I'm like, is there a way you can like come up with alternate jerseys for teams like Clemson and Miami that are blue and watch people talk about them differently? Yeah. Miami's a good squad. Clemson is a good squad. And to your point about North Carolina and how they kind of use this pick game as a launching point, that Clemson game is going to be more of a
huge
test.
For Miami.
Huge.
Huge for Carolina this week. But the thing about Clemson now is they want to play kind of the way that Carolina wants to play. And you kind of get in trouble. Yeah, I mean, Roy's not there. It's not you're not running with Roy anymore.
No,
but you kind of get in trouble when you try to beat Carolina at their own game.
From T, was that an OG Media LLC wardrobe malfunction? No, it wasn't a malfunction.
Well, sometimes I forget. That's
your
all.
polo stayed on at least.
Yeah. Oh gosh, that's a different channel.
Is that the OnlyFans channel we'll start? Hey, look, we gotta make revenue. Somebody's got to keep the lights somehow, right?
Housekeeping.
What's that?
Thomas came back there. He's like, yeah, he meant it in the identity terms of state basketball versus state football.
Yeah, that's the beauty of doing it live. If you're leaving comments and you're in the chat, you can add the context.
I
there.
get a little too easily distracted though. So.
Yeah, I know. Try not to get too worked up with that. From David, is Wake basketball finally going to get a mention when they beat Miami this weekend?
They can have it before then.
Yeah.
The Gonzaga Demon Zags. Are you kidding me? I love it.
They got Reed, and they've been a different team.
Salas, both. They have two guys from Gonzaga.
Yeah. Reed has been
with a better coach.
Oh, really?
Forbes. Heck yeah,
really?
Man. Scheme it up, baby. You know me.
Wow.
Mark Few's he's vibes. There's no scheming with my guy.
From Sam. I guess he was at Linda's last night. Nice to see some fellow wolf blood
I
at
like
Linda's
it.
last night. We'll
So
talk
was
about
last night the last night of Linda's?
No,
Oh,
no,
okay.
it wasn't. It wasn't. We'll talk a little bit more about Linda's at the end of the show when we get into Hey Joe.
Housekeeping.
Into housekeeping. I don't even have my note. Look at this. These are
Good
these
notes.
are. This is OG
Way to go.
121.
Way to go.
Yeah, as you can see, we're literally flying by the seat of our pants today.
You still need
Tecmo Bowl.
Tecmo Bowl is Sunday, February 4th. We will be at Shady's in Garner. It's $25 to play. We have a minimum of a $400 cash prize for the winner. So come down. We'll drink a couple drinks. We'll have some food, and we'll play some Tecmo Bowl. What better? What else is there in the world?
Are we going to
And
auction?
we'll be in Garner.
Are we going to auction off a game against you?
We can. I will prostitute myself. I will not be in the tournament, but I will prostitute myself if you'd like to play against me.
Should I bring the Tetris game too? See if you can beat that
world
13-year-old's record where he finally got the freeze screen. 9999999 broke the game. Hasn't been done in ages.
Jealous.
I
I'm
know
so
you
jealous.
tried. What was the highest you got to? You guys are like 500 something, right?
Yeah,
you
I mean,
never cracked 1,000 in
no,
Tetris.
no.
You never cracked 1,000 in Tetris. You can support us by going to bugsbite.com. Mosquito Authority, Pest Authority. They sponsor Ovies and Giglio. It's not too early to start thinking about what your backyard's going to be like. Contact Mosquito Authority to get things like a misting system to keep the mosquitoes away. No contracts, which is important. So if you have ant problems like Joe, just hit them up.
Bundle it up. Go to bugsbite.com. How's about this though for some true NCAA sleight of hand corporate champion buffoonery?
What?
You can't forget that even though it's the Sleek Fleet
Oh, yes.
OG Live,
Yes.
we are presented
I know.
by Copiers Plush.
Hey, if the NCAA can do it, all we need, all we need is official cups.
I'm on it. I'm on it.
We need official NCAA OG cups when we do this kind of
So
stuff.
copiers-plus.com for all of your data needs. I'm on the hook. I got to hit up Drew for the Kyocera so that I can take care of our business needs. I've been working on our retirement accounts and some other stuff too. So you don't know what you don't know. So go check them out. Copiers-plus.com.
Also, thanks to Breeze Through. Check them out throughout North Carolina, locations across the triangle, of course. You got the Taj Breeze Through there in Cary that I know Joe wants to do a show
I want to
from.
do a Thursday Sleek Fleet OG Live from that Breeze Through. Yes.
Well, we're meeting with Adam next week.
That's on my ask list.
All right, we'll make sure that works. You can drop by any Breeze Through location. Gas,
17
clearly
locations.
important, but they got refreshments, including some of the best coffee you're going to find. And, of course, gas station beers, which is always clutch. Butcher's Market also sponsoring Ovies and Giglio. New location, Lake Boone Shopping Plaza. They got prepared meals, which are always fantastic. What did I have? I had the steak tips on New Year's, but they had a like mushroom ravioli in the fridge that I was legit curious about. Didn't buy it then. I did buy the spinach artichoke dip to have while watching football before I put the steak tips on. That was excellent. And as one of our listeners was walking out of there at the same time, don't sleep on the buffalo chicken dip. It's its own meal.
I get the tater skins. I get the vegetable medley. I've never had the buffalo chicken dip though.
Gotta get it, man. You gotta get it. So we went over to Carolina Hurricanes practice today over at Wake Competition Center, and we talked to Rod Brind'Amour for a little bit. Although while we were waiting for Rod, I kind of encouraged you to get back into your beat writer vibes. I wanted you to feel it in your plums, talking to Jordan Stahl about his holidays, getting Sebastian Aho to potentially sign up for yet another competition where he's going to beat you.
Yeah, he will beat me.
So you want to play the game from Wings Over, the Dutch sliding game, right?
Yeah, the Dutch shuffleboard. I have the record now. I have the board record.
What's the board record?
111.
Really?
I've been practicing. I've been taunting Ryan. I've been texting him. I'm like up at night. I'm like studying angles. That's why I was like, ooh, I'm ready to get some revenge.
So before we present you our conversation with Rod Brind'Amour, head coach of the Carolina Hurricanes, I was cracking up because when you brought up this game to Aho and you're like, it's this Dutch game, and he just deadpans, but I'm finished.
And then he was like, all right, well, I'll play you. I'll beat you again.
Double or nothing.
And he goes, what did we bet last time? I said a week's salary. He goes, okay, double or nothing.
Anyway, here's our combo with Rob Brind'Amour.
My New Year's resolution was to get you to give me a non-coach answer. Don't give me the back of the net. Don't give me the Roy Williams. Well, it's easier when the ball's going in the basket. What's changed?
On what?
On this winning, scoring, power play.
Well, I mean, we're getting good special teams play. That's been the change, and really though the overall picture is the goaltending has been very, very good. I mean, at the end of the day, you can't. No, but that's what it is. Your goalies make saves.
No, we've been arguing.
We've been arguing about
It's
this.
clearly what the issue is.
Yes.
I mean, we were struggling early in the year, and the guys were dead last in the NHL.
Okay, explain.
It's that simple.
Joe's looking at me like, "See, I told you," and Joe's going to give me the whole. I was right.
No, I've been working on that. That's my New Year's resolution.
No, it's okay. I'll give it to you. I'll give it to you. I'll give it to you. Okay, so this is one of those classic explain like I'm fine, because I can sit here and say, okay, fine. I understand goaltending has not been to the level that you want, but you're also a really good defensive team. They can step up. You've got dudes that should score. You can win games a bunch of different ways.
Not five. You can't expect to score 4 or 5 goals a night.
Okay.
So you want to, but you need to suppress what they're doing. And if you look at the start of the year, we were still giving up 20 shots, 22 shots. That wasn't what was changing. So what was happening was we were getting a few squeaky ones every night, and you can't give teams in this league a goal here or there. Like, it's too hard. So we've eliminated that, and it's not that our 5-on-5 play has been anything more special or anything. Obviously, the power plays and the scoring, that's been huge. I don't think that's sustainable rate, but that's a big part of it too.
When your goalies are going through it, what is your go-to response? I'm sure it changes maybe with each guy. Do you drop the hammer? Do you try to hug them up?
You have to. I mean, you got to almost separate it. Like, we got a team game, and then there's the goalie game. I mean, that's really what's happening. You're doing everything you can to make sure we don't give up those chances, but then they've got to do their job too. And so you can't let one area, all of a sudden, like people are saying, well, you got to change your game, and you got to change. Why? I mean, if they don't come around, and that position is dead last, you're not going to get there anyway. Now all of a sudden it's leveling out, and if you had changed your game, what do you do now? So it wasn't about changing our game or anything, because I knew that wasn't the issue. We had to be better at certain things. There's certain chances, but they were happening before anyway. You can't go a game without giving up scoring chances. But when they start going in at a higher rate, everyone starts looking at them and go, oh, they're giving up. Not really. We're giving up 4 or 5 grade A's a night or whatever it is. They were all going in.
Was there somebody either you played with in Philadelphia or here in Carolina that made you play better, that you felt like gave you some confidence? You saw that person and you said, oh, okay, it's going to be okay today.
You mean in net or just in
anywhere? Maybe somebody on your line, because I'm going to go.
Well, there's certain guys that when you play with, you feel okay. I know what I'm getting out of that guy, so I'm going to enjoy playing this game, because it's not going to be he's not showing up this shift, or you want the consistency. Guys want to play with guys I know what you're.
Eric Cole.
Eric Cole's hard nosed. I know what he's doing.
Yeah.
You play with my case, Justin Williams, someone that I know what I'm getting.
Okay.
It's not going to be flashy. It's not going to be, but I know if I get it over there, he's going to do this. It's just that accountability, and that there's a little chemistry, but it's consistent. Consistency is really the key.
No, they don't play together, but my theory is the Russians are helping each other, confidence-wise.
Sometimes.
Chekhov sees his guy out there. I feel better. I see my guy.
Yeah.
I got somebody I can talk to.
Well,
I got somebody I can eat lunch with.
That's why you got to learn the language, because you don't want to be relying on just one guy. You got to rely on everybody.
Yeah.
So that's
how is your Russian?
My Russian is terrible. I don't know anything.
Okay.
But that's why you got to learn English. No, it's just.
But both of them, I feel like they're helping each other.
Who's the other one that you're talking about?
Svech and Chekhov.
Oh yeah, I think for
they're still
for
super
Kuch,
young too.
For Kuch, it's nice to have someone that if he's, not getting his point across or something's not happening, I can go to you and go, hey, and then it'll get back to us. But it's actually a crutch to have that as well, because then he doesn't learn as quick. because I can just go speak Russian with this guy, and that's not good either.
A couple more things before we let you go. I appreciate the time. We talked about the accountability. You know what you're getting, and Jordan Stahl a couple times has been open about that. I know Aho has also been open about that. When the players kind of take that role, what do you do as a coach now? Because you used to be that. Yeah. Now as a coach, what do you do when they're speaking?
That's what you want. I mean, coaches lay it out, and then it's up to the players to take it. I mean, and when your leaders are doing that, that's what you want. And it's okay to go through some things that aren't going right. That's how you actually flush it out. And, you want to flush it out earlier than later. And I think that's kind of what happened. We went through a little stretch there where it wasn't quite right. Kind of what we talked about, why, but there was other issues going on too. So I think we kind of flushed it out.
Are those issues related to
You don't have a lot of new parts, but I did think there was a transition for Bunning and Orlov.
Totally.
And now you're seeing a little bit more from them, and you're like,
well,
look at this.
There's still a learning curve.
Sure.
And it's it's what was expected. And I think some players come in and maybe that wasn't expected, and here it is, and it takes a little while for them to change their. Listen, you paid them a ton of money to do it a certain way, and they were doing it.
Yeah.
Why do they gotta do it differently?
Do it my way,
And it takes a little time.
I think the last time we talked to you was ahead of the season, and we talked about goals. Your goals are what happened in the postseason, not necessarily in the regular season. Winning not to be blunt, but winning the President's Trophy is not what you guys are trying to do. So when you talked about those issues and having to address them and flush that stuff out, how much of that is not a mental fatigue, but maybe just an emotional, this isn't what it's early.
That's the danger.
Okay.
When you think like that, you don't even get to the playoffs, and that's why it's such a fine line. I mean, we're right in the thick of it now.
You're number 2 now.
And we had to, but everybody's right there. We've had to play really well just to get to that. When you have another little sideways, you're on the outside looking in, and you're going to go, what happened? Well, what happened was October.
Right.
We decided we didn't really want to do it exactly right, and that's what happened. So that's what you fight for an 82-game season when you have a veteran team that knows, to what you just said earlier.
Yeah.
We're not really playing for that, but you better play for that, or you won't even get a chance to do the other thing.
You got anything else?
You got a shot at whatever your communication is with Freddie and some timetable for him, because obviously that's a big piece of everything that you are. I know you're being so careful with that, obviously, for obvious reasons.
It's kind of in his court, really, and the doctors are, he's getting the second and third opinions, and it's, we haven't flushed that out yet. The timetable hasn't given enough for him to get all those opinions. I think he's going today, actually, for another one. So, and he's flying to Minnesota. They're doing everything.
You got to get it right. You got to get it right.
And once, hopefully, we get through that, which will be soon, then someone can give them the green light to say, get out there. But until that happens, there's nothing really I can tell you.
Do you have any conversations with Don about the goalie market?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I mean, that market's pretty nuts right now.
Well, I mean, it's, as we've seen, it's the most important position. You cannot win if you don't have the guys dialed in. Now, we've taken a little breather because Cooch started playing so well, and it's a lot on a young kid. And with Freddie, you're not sure. All of a sudden, do you need one? All that came in to play, but we just got to get Rance going. And he looks better, not right. Then you can take a little breather on that department.
Did you actually take time off over Christmas?
No. I don't know. We had 3 days. We had 3 days. So the problem was we were right. We had a bad finish.
Yeah. You're like that.
We had a good game and lost. That was the worst. Those are the absolute worst.
I was there for that one.
Rod, appreciate it.
Yeah, man, of course.
Rod. There was a little bit of a focus, Giglio. We lost. You don't remember, do you? Yeah, you move on to something else. Big thanks to Rod Brind'Amour for making the time today after practice here on Ovies and Giglio live on YouTube today. Thanks to Sleek Fleet. And also thanks to Hometown Realty. Check them out, myhtr.com. New construction, that's the thing that you might be curious about, folks. And Hometown Realty, 60%?
More than 60% of their business is in new construction. So you get those Get the brakes from dealers. That's what you need from the builders.
The
That's what you
incentives,
need.
yes.
Yeah, incentives. Also, listen, they have more than 6 locations, more than 250 agents from here to the coast. Go to myhtr.com, buy, sell, calculate.
Also, big thanks to Whitaker and Hamer. Maybe you just bought a house. You're taking it to closing. I know interest rates are coming down. Maybe you've refinanced. You need to take that to closing. Whitaker and Hamer, really, really easy solution. Just go to wh.lawyer to go set that up.
Maybe you're mad that you gently went around somebody at a light in downtown, and for some reason were given a reckless driving ticket. I mean,
It's funny you mentioned that because I'm about to get back on the road.
I mean, not to get too specific, but
I'm about to get back on the road for some kid hockey stuff. We got Annapolis. There's a tournament in Annapolis, Maryland.
oh boy,
There's a tournament in Charleston that I'll be headed to, which, by the way, I'm now realizing you might need to come up with some Mondays here soon without me.
okay.
Because
I'll check out that Brownlow lady.
Speaking of that Brownlow lady, let's bring her on, shall we?
What's up next? What's up next?
That Brownlow lady hanging out with us in studio. What up?
How much?
Make sure your mic is on.
Yeah,
Super
that would
hot
be good.
mic.
Yeah, your mic is fine. You love this microphone, Joe.
Now I know.
Yes, you love this microphone. I want you to relay the story or what you said to me when you came up to the studio today when we were going over stuff that we were going to talk about, and I had posted what we were going to talk about today on YouTube and on Twitter and everything else. What did you tell me?
Right. I'm not on social media as much as I have been in the past. And so like I completely somehow missed yesterday that Gene Chizik was let go. But then because I was like, wait, why are they talking about this as if it's new? And then I was like, oh, I guess it had never really been announced. I just kind of assumed it had. And it hadn't. So it was one of those like weird in-between stories for me. Of like, yeah.
No, I am with you because some of the reaction to Gene Chizik, defensive coordinator at North Carolina, mutually a conscious uncoupling with Mac Brown as the way the press release came out yesterday mid-morning. You're right. I think everybody knew that this was going to happen. It was just a matter of when it was going to happen.
Yeah.
And I had some people in my mentions. I got an email saying like, isn't this kind of messed up that, Gene Chizik's your defensive coordinator. You got people that are coming to North Carolina that just had signing day and this happens after signing day. And it's like couple things, y'all. Couple things. One, I think everybody, if you were coming to North Carolina, you kind of knew Gene Chizik was going to be the defensive coordinator next year.
Overall, that's a fair critique. I usually echo it because schools do this a lot, but my thing was like, why? I mean, no offense to anyone, but why would you have watched the past couple of years and go, I want to go? That's my draw.
Well, because we didn't talk about this after what had happened, or maybe you talked about it and I was out. There was an NC State defensive player who transferred.
We had the matrix broken. Yeah,
it finally happened.
Devin Boykin.
The thing that we've been talking about, like it's going to happen. I thought it was going to be basketball.
Mm-hmm.
That's where I wanted
maybe
to happen.
last year Dontrez Styles.
Oh, I would have loved
go
that.
From Carolina to State.
Would have loved that. Would have broken everybody's brain. But we ended up in football from NC State to North Carolina. My first thought was, without knowing squat about squat, was so hold up. Hold up. You just beat them. And the big reason why you beat them was because you shut them down. You shut an offense run by a future NFL quarterback down. And you thought, maybe it was like I know, I'm going to save them. I'll fix them. I'm going to go play over at North Carolina. That was my first thought.
I had that thought too when I heard about it.
Is that wrong? Is that me being kind of like a jerk about it? I just thought it was funny that I'm like, wait, you want to go play for that defense? Okay.
It's probably minutes though.
Yeah. I guess there's that.
I will go to my grave. The number one thing people will transfer for is to play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that makes total sense. That makes total sense.
That's the way I'll always look at it. No, it's unusual, but yeah, I don't exactly know his background. Like I hate to be the one who explains this to other people in the world, but if you grow up in this state, there's like a 90% chance you're a Carolina fan.
Yes.
Unless you had a parent.
It feels high. because
85%,
of like the
85%.
others, because of the others, not just state, you know.
Right.
But I also grew up in Greensboro, like where there were fans of everybody all around me all the time.
Real quick from Sam, appreciate it. It's actually Jakeem Harris, not
not Boykin. Okay,
Boykin's
my bad.
coming back.
My
Boykin's
bad.
coming back.
I was gonna say
somebody broke.
I was gonna say
Matrix.
Boykin. He played all the time. Wait,
I've already.
You've already taken it out of your brain. You got the
my Matrix.
you got the memory wipe. So anyway, back to the Gene Chizik thing, because I think the news in and of itself is not interesting to me. What's more interesting to me is it ties back to the conversation we seem to be having about Mac Brown and the future of North Carolina.
yeah.
So you are now in the market for a defensive coordinator, which now gets to the question, Lauren. What kind of defensive coordinator can you expect to come fix? Is it a talent problem? Is it a coaching problem?
It's hard to know. I know that they've gotten a lot of highly regarded recruits over the past few years. Now, did a lot of those recruits in the secondary especially leave? You know, like, yes, there not as many of them there. I think the defensive line is an area where they have shown I thought they've shown some improvement on the defensive line over the years, but the secondary has been an issue the entire time, I feel like. And the defensive line hasn't been amazing or anything because they can't stop the run, but like they have some guys that can rush the passer and stuff like that. I don't know. I think it's hard to say because it's like we're not there, right? But at the same time, you do see, you know, it's just hard to think that all these 5-star types of guys are coming to Carolina and they can't manage to turn it into, and I'm not even saying like a shutdown defense. No one is saying
Nobody's asking that.
It's more like not one of the worst, if not the worst in college football.
And
like,
this is something that has gone over the last couple of years. For instance, I was listening to the Cover 3 podcast yesterday, driving around, and this news had come out. So Chip brought it up, and I thought Bud Elliott put it in the best way possible. It's like, you got rid of Jay Bateman a couple of years ago because, hey, we feel like we've got this talent, we're getting better, that something has to be changed. And they moved on from Jay Bateman. I remember, Brownlow, you and I having these conversations on the panic rooms about, like, was it really as bad as you made it out to be?
I didn't think Jay Bateman was that bad.
But as Bud pointed out, and I didn't see this headline, it's like, okay, so Bateman goes to Florida, where I think he was the linebackers coach for a bit, and then he just got the defensive coordinator job at Texas A&M with Mike Elko.
So maybe you have to ask yourself the question then, at that point, it's like, well, if that guy couldn't get this defense to even be decent, and now he's going to be coordinating for Mike Elko, a guy who knows a thing or two about defense, mind you.
Like we know what Texas A&M's identity is going to be at Texas A&M. We just saw a glimpse of it at Duke for 2 seasons. So we kind of know what the deal is. It's a toughness factor. It's all getting to the larger issue of a toughness factor, which Carolina's got that knock on them right now. And I'm not quite sure how they fix that in an offseason, unless it's my big galaxy brain theory that the best thing that's going to happen in North Carolina this offseason is that nobody's going to talk about them. They're not going to have any hype. And they might get to 8 wins, like you said, but not all 8 wins are created equally.
No.
You know,
they're definitely not. Yeah, it's all about the context of who you beat and who you lost to and how badly you lost or won. All of that stuff matters. What kind of injuries were you dealing? I mean, that stuff just all matters.
That stuff matters.
But I don't know. Like, this was something. Look, we have clearly been roasted appropriately for our doubts of the hire on its initial grounds, right? Which was that one of the things we both said was no one was going to want to play for him.
Did we say that?
I said that. I was like, what recruit would see Mac Brown come in and be like, cool?
I don't remember.
You know what I mean? But for sure, I think one thing we were both worried about was long term.
Yes.
What was going to happen and what was the exit strategy going to be and when?
I think it was supposed to be Dre Bly, to be perfectly honest with you.
You've been floating that theory for a while.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Real quick from Bud, put cardboard under turf at Keenan. The Tar Heels will play better on paper.
That's pretty good. That's good.
You got to think about the Carolina family. I mean, I know it's a basketball thing largely, but
yeah, it is.
I mean, Dre Bly is one of the best college football players in ACC history.
Oh, for sure.
You know, and then to have all the connections that he had in Charlotte and to bring him in, it was a brilliant move.
But,
and then to get rid of him, I thought, man, I protested at the time, and I'll protest again. I thought it would have been a great exit strategy, great setup plan, the whole thing. So.
I wondered at the time, personally, like how much because he was the secondary coach, and we saw a lot of struggles in the secondary in particular, and a lot of talented players at those spots that weren't.
But I took him as a Mac avatar almost because
I can see
he
that.
was recruiting.
Yeah.
Right.
That's what Mac does.
Right.
Like,
So
I
But,
never
I mean,
understood pinning any of their X and O. I don't pin their X and O problems on Mac.
Well,
Well,
no,
you gotta
but
hire
it's
the person
but
who
it's
can
on
do it,
Mac.
though.
It's
Right.
on Mac to hire the right person.
Correct.
Right.
Now, when
And, or let him coach. Like Jay Bateman, when they got rid of him, I was kind of like, okay, you're changing something to change.
yes, that's
And
exactly
I think
what
they
it was.
did it because Chizik was available.
That would make sense.
You know what I
too.
mean? Like
And
you
Chizik-
go
and-
do something if you know who you can go get.
And remember,
Exactly.
Chizik with Fedora had at least, to
He
your
did.
point,
He had success.
he had success in not having this shutdown defense, but it was a defense that got in the way
That's all
and
you
made
need to do.
plays
Straighten
when they
things
need-
out.
It's,
the
it's
bend don't
literally
break,
all
and it
they've
worked.
ever needed from their
So-
defense.
Again, the Chizik thing to me is speaking to a larger conversation around Mac Brown and the future of North Carolina's football program. They had two cracks at it with Sam Howell and now with
Drake.
Drake
May. And I thought that would make sense for this to just kind of be handed off to the next guy. You accomplished your job. I think you and I, when we talked about it 5 years ago, and we were kind of like, what the hell? What I think we got wrong, and what I've heard over the last 5 years, was just how bad it was at North Carolina.
Yeah, there's some of that. Yeah.
It was, and again, and Joe, you like to point this out all the time. We don't know really what's going on behind the scenes sometimes.
Right.
And I maybe was dismissive of how bad it actually was and
Right.
what Mac Brown needed to do with the boosters and get people back.
Well, and to even mend relationships with local coaches,
Totally
like
get
that,
that.
those had fallen out of repair. Yeah.
I will own that I might have undersold that aspect
I
of
definitely had no idea he would turn around recruiting the way he did. That was a big surprise.
it.
To
Now,
me.
the one thing that I'm adamant about that we were right about was that this was always a short-term solution
Well,
for the Tar
which
Heels.
we kind of thought that was like the understanding.
But it doesn't seem to be the
No, it
understanding.
doesn't.
And now there is some great question as
No.
to, okay, well, when is Mac going to hang it up? Because you're not going to do the coach and waiting thing. Mac's
No.
already done that. That ain't
No.
happening. So how much longer is this actually going to go? And one of these days when Bubba leaves North Carolina and we can get him to hang out,
give him some alcohol.
Give him
tell
some
him it's off the record.
it's off
and
the
find
record.
out.
I'd love to know the booster dynamic that he's just like, all right, y'all get what you want.
I mean, the scuttlebutt at
Mhm.
the time was that wasn't his decision.
Yes.
Correct.
So
Correct.
you know,
Well, I think Matt gave away the game during the
Uh-huh.
I check with my boosters.
right. So real quick context before the
yeah,
Mayo Bowl.
whoopsie.
Before the Mayo Bowl, I read this Inside Carolina piece from Adam Smith and the crew, who always do a great job. And Mac's giving all these quotes about the defense, and we got to figure out why. We got to we know what the results are, but we got to figure out why. I don't want to do like a sacrificial firing just to keep people happy. But then a couple paragraphs later, he's like, I check in with 6 or so
Yeah.
boosters and get their input because I value it. And I'm like, dude.
You sent me that quote, and I was
Dude.
like, I wasn't even like at first. I was like, why is he sending me that? Like, because I knew this, but it was like, oh, right, he's not supposed to say this.
If the Kremlin politics weren't obvious enough with Mac, he
Right.
sprayed it out for you.
But I love
because
that.
he's probably like, what's Bubba gonna do? Fire me for saying?
Well, right. They're not going to
But
fire him.
he's taken every loss this offseason. So
He had.
now
and
he
it's-
finally got
it's-
one there, I think.
It's been
It's-
an
he's slowly-
uncharacteristic
I was gonna say,
offseason for him.
and it has been like it has eroded slowly. I feel
Mm.
like over the course of the season, his general, because usually no matter win or loss, he's very polished in
Mhm.
front of the media. He says the right things. You've seen that erode a bit as the year has gone on.
that Georgia Tech post game
yeah.
was one of the more jarring post games
Yes.
I've ever heard.
Let's switch over to hoops. We talked a good bit about NC State to start the show. I am starting to get annoyed at the conversation around the ACC when we've got some good basketball
I
being
don't.
played,
It's
like Clemson and Miami last night, right?
Yeah, I love the great game. I watched the whole second half of that and then tuned over to State.
And then you got Wake Forest, who's feisty and things like that.
Wake
Forest-
can
Wake Forest is
score and
talented.
not defend. That's
Yeah.
it. That's it.
That's always Wake. Yeah, I was on with Kyle. I was on
Just
with
like
Kyle
football.
Bailey. I was
No,
on with Kyle
actually,
Bailey
Football wasn't like that this year.
at WFNZ. He had me on yesterday, and he asked me about Wake Forest. I'm like, look, man, Steve Forbes has a
Coach
knack.
him up, baby.
Steve Forbes has a knack for finding the right guys in the portal, coaching them up, The only worry is defensively, can they sustain this over the course of the season and not have it bite them in the ass to make the NCAA tournament? But the one thing I wanted to talk with you about after we covered a good chunk of NC State is North Carolina.
Okay.
And it's Joe and I talked about Pitt and how that was a game that the last 2 years, it's a slog. Pitt starts feeling it, and they realize.
And this was a slog too.
And North Carolina can't get out of that hole,
Right.
and there's the toughness question.
Yep.
This team isn't that,
Nope.
and I think that really finally crystallized it for folks. The curiosity is going to be Clemson's no joke this weekend.
For sure. And
How do
they're
you
going to
play
be
that?
pissed.
Yep.
Coming off that loss to Miami, I could tell they were a little annoyed with how the end of that game completely played out. But yeah, I mean, that'll be interesting too, because that is a tricky spot, frankly, for all three of the locals, and has been since Brad Brownell's been there, more or less. It's not an easy place to play. People don't talk about that enough, but it is a true statement. It is not an easy place to play, especially when somebody that they care about comes to town and they want to cheer against them. And it's obviously a good team. They didn't play well defensively against Miami, not as well as we're used to seeing them play, but they are much more capable offensively than any Brad Brownell team we've seen, and they're tough too. So it'll be interesting to see, like, can Carolina do it twice in a row, or is Carolina maybe not quite on that level of what we've seen out of Clemson so far this year? I don't know. I think Clemson's good. I think Clemson's legitimately pretty good.
I think Clemson's really good,
Yeah.
particularly
Yeah.
offensively.
Yes.
I like the different parts that they have. I like that Gerard kind of gives them a guy like, okay, I know I can make a jumper.
He played great at Miami. Like,
Yeah.
he played pretty well. PJ Hall had a struggle with foul trouble, but he's not, it's not as likely. I mean, maybe he gets into foul trouble again. Carolina would love that, but like at home, maybe it's not as likely to happen. And well, that's just
No,
a general thing.
I think the Eels are about to rip a few off here.
You think so?
I do. I do.
I could see it. I do think, like, my only issue with them is they do go through some stretches where they cannot hit seemingly the broadside of a barn.
I like the way Davis has taken over that team.
Yeah.
Yes, hierarchy's great there. Ingram
he's unreal.
knows his role.
He's tough. He's shooting not as well as I think they'd like, though. And Cadeau, I think, is a little bit
there you go.
of a roller coaster.
There you go.
But Trimble's playing so well that it didn't matter.
I think once they unlock Cadeau, you'll see an even different level from them.
I think Kentucky kind of maybe knocked his confidence back a little bit. He did play well like in the second half against Charleston Southern. I know it's Charleston Southern, but sometimes you just need to see, as Roy would say, the ball go in the basket a little bit.
That's the second reference today.
You're also competing against. He's not competing against them, but you're competing for minutes with a 6th year steady Eddie 6'5" solid
defensive
grown
stalwart
ass
in a way
man
that Elliott is not.
And Cormac Ryan. You know what I'm saying? Like
that's true. Yeah.
That's what I mean. He's like, that's who you're fighting for minutes for. And if you're Hubert Davis, you're like, well, I know what my upsides can be with Cadeau. But again, I'll say it again. I love that Marcus Page is over there helping Cadeau. And I think you'll see we're going to get to Washington, and Cadeau's going to have a much larger role, and it's going to be like,
I think it'll be slow for him.
Whoa.
Like, it'll be up and down. Like, it was up in the beginning of the year. Now we've seen it kind of it's a little bit not quite. He needs to stay out of foul trouble. Like, honestly, like, his fouling is a big issue. You can't have your point guard always in foul trouble. It's a problem.
It's also really hard to like be the hot shit and everybody love you and tell you how great you are. And then
especially when you're like,
and then all of a sudden you struggle and you're like,
and then everyone thinks you're terrible. And
it's
like, wait, what's going on?
God forbid you get to a message board, and now you're like, whoa, easy.
Yeah.
Speaking of the ACC tournament, Wes actually had this question on YouTube. Probably not logistically possible to stream the games, but you'll be documenting the tourney for social media, right? Yet, no, we cannot stream the games, Wes. We don't have that kind of money.
What are my kids on? The snap face? That's what they do.
Yeah, we're gonna go TikTok live actually while we're there. No, what we're gonna do for the ACC tournament.
Inform me. Let's have a meeting.
We've talked about this. We
haven't settled though on.
We're gonna do after darks.
Okay.
The only question is where do we do them from?
Okay.
Do we do them from the normal media area? I mean, remember, ACC Panic Room was born in DC.
It's true. It's facts.
So it might be
05?
No. It was what, 16?
15? Yeah, 16 when they won it. Carolina won it.
Yeah, I was pregnant,
16.
so yeah.
So in 16 we did it from like some weird auxiliary room in the Verizon Center.
That was the Wizards practice floor
with like no windows.
No. Where we were was this cold as hell closet with that backed up to the
Like
hospitality.
cinder block.
Yeah, it was brutal. So
So
we
we're
might
gonna-
do it from there.
I was gonna say we're gonna burn one like live on the air because like it's all legal there. Everything's
I
legal
guess-
there.
I guess we can't.
We gotta-
we can't do it in the
Probably
building.
not in the
though.
building.
Are
though.
you sure?
We can't
Because
smoke in the. We can't smoke in the.
Are you
building.
sure?
You want to take a gummy in the building? That's fine.
everything's legal
Oh.
there. They have a casino. They have weed. They have basketball.
Oh, Wes apparently was referring to the Tecmo Bowl tournament. No, we could probably stream the
Oh,
Tecmo Bowl
I
tournament.
was gonna say, I was like, wait, Wes knows y'all can't stream that.
No, we can stream the Tecmo Bowl tournament.
Well, but the other.
No, we
yes,
can't stream
yeah.
the basketball
Yeah,
games.
yeah,
No. No, what I thought we would do like an after dark. You know, because we don't have to worry about filling time in the middle of the afternoon anymore. So
I know,
we can
but
just do it reaction after the game.
I did feel like our Tuesdays, Wednesdays were productive last year.
Yeah.
Those were productive days.
I wonder if we'll talk to the commissioner this year.
Probably not.
No, probably
No.
not. You know what my
I
goal
want to
is?
talk to all of the Stanford transfers that are there.
No, you
Since
know what I
everybody
wanna
has
do?
like 4 of them.
You know what I want to do?
Oh.
I actually want to do the show from ACC Hospitality.
You can do that.
Some people might not want us to be
I
at
was
ACC
gonna
Hospitality.
say, like, that is kind of a safe space.
Yeah, you know how people talk about the
Sacred.
no, you know
Well,
how people talk
I
about the
go with
locker
that,
room.
but, like-
It's like the locker room. This is a sacred space
I mean, think about
where
like
we drink Buffalo Trace on the ACC's dime.
people like exchanging
Oh, we would
crucial
actually-
beat information slightly drunkenly.
Yeah,
gets
we-
caught on mic or something.
We
like
would
that.
actually need a space and not like a restaurant like it's been the last few years.
Yeah, that's true.
Or-
That's
Oh,
true.
that's true.
Like if it were in Greensboro, we did it from
The Berry.
if we did it
That's
from the
best.
convention
That's the
center.
best one.
Because hospitality used to be in a ballroom.
Yep.
Right.
We could have been posted up in a corner, and
Yeah.
if you wanted to be on camera, you could be on camera. But
I'll
we
bring
can't.
the sign.
Yeah, we can't do the bar.
You can't do it in front of the bar though, because then you're gonna have people really embarrassing themselves on camera. I'm just saying.
All right, Lauren, before you say goodbye and we kick you out of the studio, I wanted to bring this up. You can't see it on the screen, but I'm going to pull up. It's one of those maps, those team maps.
Okay.
Okay. I don't know where they come from. I don't know if they're real. So
I think
I
it's
saw
fake.
this.
So this says, most hated team per state, something like the line of scrimmage. Most of it is what you would expect, right? Like in Texas, it's the Eagles. In Virginia, it's the Cowboys
Yeah.
because of the football
Good.
team.
And by the way, the only state that said the
Yeah.
Cowboys. I'm sorry, I thought they were the most hated team in all of America, the most persecuted team per Jerry Jones. Right?
My personal
Get over
favorite
yourself.
is the Chicago Bears Island around
Right.
all of Green Bay, right? All of Green Bay and then a Chicago Island. But I'm like, oh, okay, North Carolina. Let me look at North Carolina. And wait, the Panthers?
I mean,
The Panthers are hated in their own state.
listen.
Whether this is real or not.
Can I say I laughed for a few minutes at this, and I was like, whoever voted in this poll, these are my people, right? Because of course we hate them right now. Come on.
Oh, man.
How can you not hate them right now? I can't
Oh, man.
stand them sometimes. Like every time they get a nice big chunk play, only for me to look up and see a flag on the field to just nullify the good thing that just happened. You know what I say to myself? I can't stand you. I cannot stand you right now. So like accurate. If it wasn't going to be the Panthers, it would have to be the Saints, obviously.
Yeah, that's true.
So
That is true. All right. Usually when you hang out with us, it's recorded and nobody knows. It's like the magic of the podcast.
right.
But because you're live,
This is his way of saying you don't have to go home, but you need to get out.
you need to get out.
No, that's fine.
What
I was
I'm
like,
what I'm
wait, what's
trying
happening
what
to
I'm
me right now?
trying
Because
to
this is
figure
live.
out
What are you trying to do to me?
what I'm trying to
Oh.
figure out what
Lauren is familiar with my Dutch shuffleboard skills. now.
Yes. Yes.
Alex has them too.
Oh,
he
nice.
has skill. He has innate skills. at
He
this game?
does.
Okay.
I challenged Sebastian Aho to the Dutch shuffleboard today.
Oh, what did he say?
He was fairly confident he was going to beat me, but yeah.
I could see.
Also
that.
said, yes, I'm Finnish, And I said, yeah, but
yeah, we know.
it's Dutch shuffleboard. European, I mean,
All the same. Who could tell?
not
Who could tell?
exactly, but
So I'm gonna click. I'm gonna click this 15-second transition.
oh, okay.
That should give us enough time to
To escape.
reset. Exactly. So all right, here we go. I think that was a sufficient amount of time. I think it worked, Joe.
That Brownlow lady.
Of course, I have to flip our cameras back around so we're in the right names and
Oh,
and
it's because I
else.
joined first.
No, we had a listener point out that when Brownlow's hanging out in the studio, the way the cameras are positioned, when she's looking at me or you, the cameras are opposite. So I flip them so that when she's looking in my direction,
Seems so complicated.
it actually looks like she's looking in my direction.
Okay.
So it's fine. It all works out in the end. Speaking of making things work out for you, insurance. There's a lot of stuff that you can be saving money on right now. Home and auto. So you need to contact Matt Davis over at State Farm out in Garner. InsureGarner.com, VOGinsurance.com, or call them directly, 919-779-8277. The thing about State Farm, as I am a State Farm customer, they constantly check in. Like, hey, situation's changed. Anything you want to work with, XYZ, that's where State Farm gets it done, and Matt Davis can help you out with that.
Yeah, in case you really do want to talk to somebody and save some money, 919-779-8277.
And home field apparel. I'm not going to trauma dump on you this time when we talk about home field apparel. You can just go to homefieldapparel.com, use the promo code OG23 to save 15% off your order.
I drove to Virginia yesterday, and I was listening to that part, and I was like, yeah, it's memorable. It's good.
So sure enough, I call my brother. My brother did text me, by the way. My brother texted me. As I predicted, he was going to text me in the middle of the when he was listening to the podcast, and that part came up, and I thought that was pretty comical in the grand scheme. But use that promo code OG23. Again, that's OG23 to save 15% off your order.
What's up next? What's up next?
All right, let's get out of here on some Hey Joe questions. Shout out to Oakwood Pizza Box for sponsoring Hey Joe. We actually had some comments in YouTube. They're open. Let me see if I can go back and fish out the comment, because we've been getting some action in the live comment section. By the way, there are options where you have to be a subscriber in order to be a commenter. I know that's what they do in the Cover 3 tailgate. Shout out to Chip Patterson. We're not there yet. I just want y'all to hang out and make comments. Maybe in the future we can mess around with that, where you have to be a subscriber in order to make comments. We're always looking for ways to goose the numbers.
No drinking today, but we have it.
Yeah, I appreciate you not drinking today. Way more focused.
I figured I could do one live show without drinking.
Good for you. I'm proud of you. From Nathan, because it can help you guys, I started frequenting Oakwood Pizza Box. I'm sadly gluten-free, but man, their gluten-free pizza is the best by a mile, Joe.
I have had it because Kevin Keats is also gluten-free. So
I didn't know that.
Had it. It's delicious.
Okay. Very cool. Very cool. All right. I'm going to pull up some stuff from the YouTube comment section from yesterday. And this was from Alex. At some point, you'll have to play a game where you play a Rod Brind'Amour press conference and determine if they won or lost the game. I brought that up to Rod today.
Yeah.
I said, hey, one of our listeners says that we should, at the end of the week, take press conferences from your games and try to identify, did this come from a winning game or a losing game? And what did Rod say, Joe? He quoted "White Man Can't Jump."
Oh, yeah.
He's like that basketball movie with Woody Harrelson. I'm like, "White Man Can't Jump."
Sometimes you win and you really lose. Sometimes you lose and you really win, and sometimes you tie.
So Corey, getting back to yesterday when I was talking about Linda's in Chapel Hill, the technician spot in the mid '80s was Party HQ on Avent Ferry Road. A bunch of the editors lived there.
I would assume that's Sammy's now, or
I would imagine that's Sammy's.
I don't know.
Okay.
What was it before?
It was some Upper Deck 2. Okay. It was Upper Deck 2 when I was in college.
Yeah.
So from left shot dev, technician staff in the early 2000s went to Mitch's mostly.
That's right.
Yeah, that's kind of where I was. That's kind of where I was too. I actually ended up
the PR.
So I'm trying to remember, because Kelly and I were talking about this yesterday. We went to Linda's last night, which I have thoughts.
Okay.
Met up with Beard.
Yeah.
And we kicked it old school. I actually saw some people that I wasn't expecting to see, including Michael Lanana, who
Lanana.
Yeah, who I think he's at
Watch me whip, watch me lanene.
Is he with Baseball America? I can't remember. But
No,
anyway,
it was South Carolina.
was it South
covering
Carolina?
The
He's
Gamecocks.
covering the Gamecocks? No, I can't keep track of all these Daily Tar Heel people and all their success. Actually, I messaged Brooke Pryor, our friend. She's up in Pittsburgh, and she hates the fact that she couldn't make it down to Linda's because
she's moving here.
She's here now.
She's building.
But yeah, apparently she and Teddy had their rehearsal dinner at Linda's. Her parents had a date at Linda's. So Linda's is one of those things like for state people, cool. It's like Mitch's and PR. But East Village was a place that I hung out a lot too.
East Village had all-time tenders, French fries.
I
could smell the East Village right now.
Yeah, it did have a distinct
stale Bud Light, and
it did have a distinct smell. So I went last night.
Clorox.
Students aren't back on campus yet.
Yeah, not yet.
And yet there was a line going out the door. They ran out of beer, or they ran out of draft beer.
I was gonna say, is this a furniture store? Fake closing?
No,
you know that furniture store at Glenwood that's always like, hey, we're closing. It's a closeout sale, I swear.
Yeah.
Next week.
Yeah. I was wondering about that. Our friend Ken floated an idea that, this happened to Sadlax 50 years ago. And I was like,
they finally did, but
yeah. So I was curious about that. So I went. They ran out of draft beer. All they had left on draft was Guinness. No, I love Guinness. I haven't had Guinness in a long time. They had Guinness on Nitro? Sure. Why the hell not? A bunch of people were drinking, PBR and things like that. But this must have happened to you when you were moving James to ECU. You and I, even though sometimes we feel old, in our minds, we still think we're young.
Correct.
Right? We still think we're young.
Sometimes, yes.
And I'll admit, I have not been to a college bar, like a straight up college bar, in a while. And when I walked in there and I looked around, I was like, who are these children? They're of legal drinking age? And then I had that thought too. I'm like, damn it. My oldest son's not too far away from this.
Well, you had your Joe Flacco moment of if I had messed up in high school.
Yes.
Yes.
These could be my kids. If it broke, could have been one of my kids. So and I realized,
but that's not what makes me feel old.
But
it's
it was just
seeing
one of those
the
things.
other parents that makes me feel old. That's when I'm like, oh no.
So
that's my Radio Row. These are my peers.
I haven't had that happen yet because I'm used to, going to Enlo for marching band stuff or other hockey parents, which the hockey parent thing is like a wide range. There's younger parents.
I'm going to report
parents.
you to the group, by the way.
What's that?
You went over to hockey practice to say you did not have your official uniform on.
So. I was cold. I didn't have my junior cane jacket on.
You're going to get some merits from the group.
Well, I did see Heidi, one of the moms on the team, and talk to her for a little bit.
Sure, but she told me when she was walking out, she's like, hey, just so you know, Ovies is not allowed to come to the next event now. He doesn't have his jacket on.
I see. So I had that moment. I told you in the summertime when I was doing Enlo marching band booster work at Walnut Creek.
Yeah,
and I was playing the game in my mind. Like, do I know this person's age? Can I guess their birth year? No, I couldn't. And there were times where I saw 1979. And I thought to myself, wait, do I look that old? I don't look that old. Do I?
Spoiler.
Yeah, no, I do. It's like Ethan sent me a picture, encapsulating my relationship with Josh Graham.
Oh, pull it up. That's so good.
So yeah, let me pull it up.
That is everyone's reaction to sitting with our friend who has no off button.
No, Adam
Gold Jr.
Josh Graham does not have an off. Who is the worst person to sit next to at a game, by the way?
Close.
Gold or Graham?
It depends on what kind of game it is.
I can't sit next to Adam at a hockey game.
No. You get the extra.
It's just running commentary.
It's a bonus feature.
It's like I didn't know what do you call it, the SAP button? I turned that off. I don't want to hear this. So yeah, so Ethan Hyman over at the News and Observer caught this. No notes, dude. No notes, man. I'm just trying to watch I'm just trying to watch the game.
No, Joe. Bryce Young is a better. No, what is poor Josh? He's on the air. What is he likes to say? Hey, I've been working on this take. Let me run it by you.
He literally
he
said
does
that.
say that.
He literally said to me, so I'm workshopping this take.
Yes.
And I think that's the moment where I took my glasses off and I went, okay, Josh, you don't have to. Sometimes you just have to let the take come to you. You don't have to workshop it ahead of time.
prep it.
You don't. And it was something related to Caleb Williams and Drake May.
Yeah,
And how everybody, why is Caleb Love always the guy who's going to go first?
Yeah.
And I'm like, there are people who think Drake May is going to go first.
Yeah.
I said there's a USC reality distortion field that exists. That's why Caleb
Lincoln
Williams
Riley
and
too.
Lincoln
His
Riley
guy.
too. That's it. That's his guy.
I know.
So yeah, I just thought that was rather amusing. Speaking of sports radio, you'll be proud of me.
Will I?
You'll be proud of me.
Okay.
I think my radio deprogramming finally finished. I think because you said Joe Flacco, it triggered this. So my morning routine.
Yes.
Alarm goes off at 5:45. I feed the cats. I get the coffee going. I turn on ESPN and I watch their morning show, whatever iteration it is now. Now it's called Unsportsmanlike. And I watch it because I just want to get a general sense. Like, I know what you and I are going to talk about, but what are they talking about nationally?
I was going to say.
Like,
Let me draw you the Venn diagram.
They didn't start the show talking about DJ Burns. I'll just put it like that, right?
Let me draw you the Venn diagram.
Yeah, I know. So she all right, let's see the Venn diagram of the people who are what we're going to talk about versus what they're going to talk about. You ready for it? That's fair, man. That's fair. I'll take that. So it's 6:05 in the morning. Coffee hasn't even really hit my system yet. And they're having a debate about whether or not Joe Flacco will be a Hall of Famer if he takes the Browns to
Matthew
the
Staffording this thing.
Yes, basically, if Joe Flacco, who he already has a Super Bowl, right?
Right.
Okay. If he gets another one, but with Cleveland,
Kurt Warner it. Okay.
will he be a Hall of Famer? And they were convinced. And again, my radio deprogramming.
But who's the MVP, Joe?
This is true because the MVP is a zero-sum game now. And I thought to myself, my goodness, that is the dumbest topic to be having on January 4th with all these other things that are going on. This is what you've decided is just going to be the big topic of the day. Is Joe Flacco a Hall of Famer if he wins? The biggest hypothetical. We're not even knowing week 18. Week 18 hasn't even started yet. And there's 20 million playoff implications. But no. What you want to ask is, get the people going. Is Joe Flacco a Hall of Famer? And my deprogramming failed me because I texted Pat Costello, the producer of ESPN Radio, and I said, what are you doing? This is a dumb convo. He absolutely is a Hall of Famer if he wins another Super Bowl with Cleveland because
no one's ever done it.
Don't. This is not an Eli Manning situation. Okay. This is a LeBron James foreign currency situation. What is a title in Cleveland worth compared to other titles, Joe?
Absolutely. At least 3 times.
Plus, there's the story. The Hall of Fame loves the story. Although you see what just happened to me? I'm now talking about it. Deprogram me once more. Beep, bop, boop, beep, beep, boop, boop, bop. Okay, I'm done. I just wanted to I thought you'd be proud of me, though. I watched that. I'm like, God, did we have to do this all the time?
You much longer than I did.
Did
yes.
I have to? How many segments did I waste with the dumbest topics possible? Goodness.
Everyone in here.
I should text Alec. I'm like, man, remember when you see that segment, Dumb Sports Radio? They're literally doing it right now. Anyway, anything else? Want to get out of here?
Let's do it.
All right, let's get out of here. Thanks for making the live shows a thing. Big thanks to Sleek Fleet for making it happen as well. Enjoy your weekend. Got plenty of stuff to talk about. We're going to talk to Bomani Jones next week. Actually texted with Bo about the Dolphins and the Bills. I'm like, yeah, plenty of stuff to talk about. We can talk about how Josh Allen's going to have everybody salivating. He goes, no, the Dolphins are going to beat the Bills. And I said, Bo, I saw this movie a bunch of time in the 90s. He goes, oh, fair point. So we got a lot of stuff going on next week. We got NFL Week 18. We got, obviously the Carolina Panthers and who are they going to hire?
Championship Monday night.
Yeah, we got the championship and things like that. But again, the Panthers are going to be joined by some other teams with Black Monday and openings. How is that all going to play out? And yeah, we got a national championship game, which could be Jim Harbaugh's last game with the Michigan Wolverines. all things to talk about. All right, we will see you then.